If you're buying or selling a home in 2025, here's all the information that you need to know. Will you get all that and more on the Elite Realty Group Podcast? Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Elite Realty Group Podcast, where you get the most up-to-date, relevant real estate information you're going to find anywhere on the planet. You are going to get it right here. Again, I'm your host, Mike Elkins. Got my co-host, Dave Elkins, with me. And we're diving into the buyers and the sellers of 2025. We're dropping all the information that people need to know if they're fitting into one of those categories this year. This is a lot of information to unpack.
Yeah, I can't believe we're doing it in one episode.
In one sitting.
We might not. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows where this goes from here. But again, the market, you know what I mean? Like everybody's questions now, what is happening in the real estate market?
Yep.
Like that's what everybody wants to know. We've said it on these podcasts before. We've talked about it a lot on a lot of different avenues of channels and things that we have. And we get a ton of questions like throughout a week's period of time, calls, texts, messages. But it's all been this question lately about like what is happening in the real estate market.
Yep.
So as we dive in head first, because there's a lot to unpack here.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about, my friend, you start us off. What is happening in the real estate market right now?
I think overall in the real estate market, I think we kind of addressed this a little bit in the is the market crashing? So let's kind of go a little deeper into this. For one, the real estate market is not crashing.
I like it.
It is becoming a normal market.
Sure.
Okay. We have inventory. We have buyers that are looking. We have houses for them to buy. So the market itself is just becoming a normal real estate market.
Right.
Nothing more, nothing less.
No. And when we say normal, okay, we need to define that, I think, and go a little bit deeper maybe into that. It's just like what you're saying. Normal means, again, not one side is just outpacing the other.
Right.
Like it's not a seller's market. It's not a buyer's market. We're moving to a sense of this is just real estate.
This is
now.
just
you know
real
what I'm
estate.
saying?
Yeah, this is what it was pre the explosion.
Sure, that's exactly right. That's kind of where we're going back to.
Soaring. I'm saying prices are still up,
but that's normal.
That's normal.
3 to 5% a year is normal.
Normally goes up. That's kind of where we're at now.
Inventory is out there and available. It's increasing.
Yep.
That's normal. You know what I'm saying?
And that's all good for the market. It's good to have inventory.
Sure.
It makes it more fair for the buyers.
Absolutely. So you look at that, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Like that is what is happening on that. Now, that's the move we're happening right now. We're not going to sit here and predict or project 4 years, 2 years, next year. Like who knows? You know what I'm saying? Where we go from here. But where we sit right now, the market is getting a little bit of sense of normalcy to it, okay?
Yep.
The next big question we get that I think we got to unpack before we start talking about these buyers and sellers is what's happening with pricing? Like what is happening with these home prices?
Well, I mean, like you said, or like I said, maybe they're kind of stabilizing where they're at.
Right.
They are not they are on an upward tick. It's just not as crazy as what it's been, but real estate is still going up. Again, this is my disclaimer. This is our area.
Sure.
So in our area, real estate is still, home prices are still rising, not nowhere near the rate that they was.
Right.
But home prices are still up a little bit.
Sure. You look at that and you say, again, that goes back to the old question we get the whole time. What's going on with the real estate market? Well, it's moving to normalcy.
Yep.
It's normal for home prices to rise. Okay, that's normal.
Yep.
3 to 5, 5 to 7, depending on what you want to look at. That's a sense of normalcy. Having inventory is normal. Having buyers is normal. All those things are normal. People buying, selling, transacting real estate. Last question we always get before we dive in, that we're just putting this on the table for you guys today, and then we're going to dive deeper buyer specific, seller specific, and we're going to look at some myths that people think they know about the real estate market, but they really don't know. But let's talk about, where are these interest rates heading? Man, we just had this big election and all this stuff. Trump's going to cut this and cut that, and do this and do that. What's that going to do to these interest rates that we know have went up? We know have been higher than what people are used to, but they've been normal. If you look historically, interest rates have been right where, if you take an average over about 20 years, we're right there. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't like it. You don't like it. Nobody likes it.
We got spoiled. I mean, let's just be honest. We got spoiled in having those 2s and some high 1s and 3s.
Craziness.
We got spoiled in that. So, like you said, I mean, looking back on normal, we're kind of falling back into that. Now, what is it going to do? Great question. I mean,
it is a great question.
I think if we answer this question,
I know the answer.
Okay.
Go ahead, though.
But I'm just saying, I think, like, if we could sit here and really tell you what's going to happen, we'd be getting paid a whole lot of money for that answer right now. I do think, I might be totally wrong. This is just me. This is my gut feeling. I think interest rates are going to drop. Now, what is that number? This is where I don't know. I don't know. I think that we will see. I don't know if we see it this year, but we'll probably be low 5s, high 4s. I might be wrong.
This year?
I'll take it.
You're saying not this year?
I'm going to say this year we will be in the low 5s.
Okay. So I'm going to differ from that. Okay.
I like it.
My prediction, again, where are these rates heading? As we record this, it just depends on where you get your information at. We're high 6s, mid 6s. I mean, they're in the 6s. Okay. They're in the 6s, but it's on the higher side than the lower side. I don't know that we get out of the 6s prior to the fall. I think if we do go under 6%, it's going to be fall or later. But now, when I say that, I don't know that even if we get out of the 6s, I think we're going to barely get out of the 6s. You know what I'm saying? I think we're going to be between 5.9 and 6.9 all year long. That's what I think. That's my guess.
So the good news is in 2026, we'll go back and be able to watch or listen to this podcast. And one of us can then turn around and say, we was right.
Like we got that.
And now
unless they go up.
Well,
now, that's the $1 million question.
Do they go up?
Okay. What happens with the economy in the next few months is going to determine a whole lot of things.
Absolutely.
I'm betting on we're going to be okay economically. That could change the whole game, though.
So I'm saying,
as we've just come out of it.
No,
this isn't
crystal
political
ball here.
No, it's not there. So you look at those things, and that's where we sit right now. That's the information we know right now pertaining to what's happening in the market right now, what's going on with pricing, what do we see with interest rates, okay? But we want to dive deep today into, you're buying and selling in 2025, here's what you need to know, okay? These are some things you need to be aware of that are happening inside of deals, in the marketplace. What are sellers doing? What are buyers doing? Those types of things is where we want to dive deep today and do that. We're going to kick off, okay, with what we're talking with today. We're going to talk about buyers, all right?
Okay.
Because what are some things that we look into? How can buyers, okay, make this market as it sits right now? How can buyers make this market work for them? Should they buy now? Should they wait? What should they do? Everybody is that's why they want to know what's the market doing, because they're wanting to know what move to make. Okay. They're wanting to know what move to make. So let's start first today by, if you're buying a home in 2025, okay, we just predicted these interest rates and all this stuff. Should people buy now or should they wait?
Is so consumer specific.
Sure.
That you can't throw a blanket on this. I think I say this often, But if it's right for you, then it's the right time to buy. So I heard
Mhm.
somebody say this the other day, and I thought it was great. But if you are looking for something in particular, if you know what your ideal, what your dream home is, and that home is available, and you wait because you think in 2026 the real estate market is going to drop or interest rates are going to drop, and you pass on that house, it could be 30 years before you get the opportunity
Sure.
to buy the house again.
Sure.
So if you find the house that you want, it fits into everything that you need, you can afford the house with your current budget right now, with the interest rate the way it is right now, then do not wait.
No.
Buy the house that you want.
True.
If interest rates drop, congratulations. You can always refinance that house, get yourself a lower payment. On the contrary, if interest rates goes up to 8,
Sure.
you just made a great deal. Like you literally just got it at a 6%
Uh-huh.
or 6.5% interest rate. You done good. Again, as long as you can afford it with your current budget, if it's the house that you want, don't wait on that.
I agree. We have been recording a ton of videos here
Mhm.
at the office at Elite Realty Group in Morristown, Tennessee, by the way. And we've discussed this multiple times in a lot of different things. And I don't think it's fair for people, for again, real estate people, even especially,
Right.
to throw a blanket over and say it's right or it's wrong for everybody. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you can make that. I don't think that that's our place
No.
to tell you, oh, yeah, you should buy a house. Well,
Right.
no. If you can't afford the house, you don't need to buy a house.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just real information.
Right.
In the same turn, you got to look at a lot of things that historically, now we get hit on these podcasts. This is going to get us a hit, but I don't care. You look at, historically speaking, home prices are going to go up.
Yeah.
Okay, they're going to go up, as we talked about earlier in this very podcast. 3 to 5, 5 to 7, depending on who you listen to. That's what happens normal. Okay, that's what happens normal.
Right.
And that's going to continue to do. Will there be times that there's dips in prices? Sure will be.
Absolutely.
But if you look in the long run, prices are going to go up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should you buy now looking at just that? Absolutely you should.
Right.
Because this same house you can get for this price now, if we just stay normal like we are right at this moment,
Mhm.
it's going to be 5%-ish higher next year.
Right.
What does that mean to me? Put that in my own terms. Well, we live in an area where the home prices, they're above 300,000, but my math, and I ain't got a calculator, so I'm going to do easy math. $300,000 house is going to be $315,000 next year.
Right.
That's because home prices are going to go up. So if you're looking at it in that avenue, yeah, now's the time to buy. However, if you can't afford the payment or you can't pull the cash to pull the plug on that $300,000 house, then no,
Right.
it's not the time to buy for you.
Yeah, and I mean, like to me, I think it was last week we talked about this on the show about people downsizing from the bigger homes to a smaller home.
We're going to talk about that today.
So if I'm saying, like, for me, I don't understand where people get this at. Again, we might get a lot of backlash over this, but if I'm selling my house because I want to downsize a house, I don't see where it's smart for me to sell my house and then go pay $2,500 a month to rent something.
Right.
Because I'm going to wait 3 years to see if home prices come down.
Right.
When I have threw that money away, now you can say, well, you didn't throw it away, you had somewhere to live. I am not getting a return on that money.
Right.
To where if I go buy that smaller house or whatever, it's going to gain equity as I'm there. So
Sure.
I just don't see, I know we get that a lot of times. People's like, oh, everybody needs to rent. It's right for some people in different situations. But for what I'm talking about, it would not make sense for me to go rent for 2 or 3 years, hoping on a real estate crash that may or may not happen.
Right. It's not a one size fits all.
No,
it's honestly
it
not.
cannot be. Everybody is different and every situation is specific.
Not everybody's going to tell you that, but we're going to tell you that.
Yeah,
It's not a one size fits all. You got to look at it. But that goes back to let's give a plug here. that goes back to why it's important for you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Get connected with the people, the professional people, a realtor,
Yep.
a good mortgage person, financial advisor, whoever you want to pull into this,
Yep.
okay? To overview, look in, dive into your situation.
Right.
Because, I mean, again, if you get a good one, we're going to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and say, okay, it don't make sense.
Right.
It does not
Yeah,
make
I mean,
sense for you to do it.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? Look at this. Look at the wealth you could create.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what you could do to your net worth by being a homeowner.
Right.
So you need to make sure if you're buying a house in 2025, again, we can't tell you should you buy now. We can help you through the process, but get with a professional and sit down and figure it out.
Yeah.
Like that's what we do all the time. That we have these conversations all the time with people to just look at it. And then at the end of the day, it's your decision. If you've got that person, shame on them for pushing you.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get to, we've talked about before, someone you mesh with, someone you feel comfortable with, someone who's looking out for your best interest. I get off that soapbox. Let's go one more place with a buyer. Okay? Because I think this is a big deal. Okay. Buying a house in 2025, we just answered your question, should you buy or not? Here's a second question I want us to dive into, okay? When looking at the market and looking at what we've talked about, what's happening with negotiations, offers? Are we seeing people paying over? Are we seeing sellers dropping the bottom?
Right.
What are we seeing offer-wise right now heading into the spring market of 2025? Talk to people about if they're going to go buy a house, some things they probably can and cannot do.
Well, I do think for the most part that homes are a little bit more negotiable. Sellers, I guess I
agree with
sellers are a little bit more negotiable now. And again, we are coming out of what we could price our house at anything we wanted, and somebody's probably going to buy it. So we still have, I'm not saying that people are still trying to price crazy, although some I think are still trying to get too much.
There's no doubt.
So I think, again, as stated earlier, we are coming back down to more what is normal.
Sure.
And now you are seeing more negotiations. People are not really paying over asking price like we was and all this other stuff. So you're kind of getting back down to normal where you're going to see maybe, 1-3%, something like that, to where you will see some negotiations, paying closing costs, things like that for the buyer. We're kind of getting back to that now.
I looked at this literally for our market this morning, and I didn't even know we were going to do this podcast because literally we figure these out 5 minutes before we do them. But I looked in our market this morning, and homes are selling in the Lakeway area. Again, we are in Tennessee, people, okay? Homes are selling in the Lakeway area at 94% of the asking price.
Okay.
Now put that back in easy terms. That means sellers are dropping the price about 6%. But there's a lot that goes into this that I think we need to talk about. Okay. That is in our area, 6%. Okay. You take into consideration, I did not break this down into what's what, but it's all in here. So it all comes out in a wash. Is that a home seller just dropping the price 6%?
Right.
And then if a buyer needs seller concessions, they're needing closing costs, they're needing agent compensation, then they're paying more than that? No, that's not what that means.
Right.
That means total drop is about 6%. The majority of the loans that we do, there are seller paid closing cost concessions in there.
Right.
So all that's in there. So you have to take that into your thought process when you're making an offer. That doesn't mean everybody's going to finish at 6%, nor come down, nor not go more.
Right.
That's just the average. So
because
again,
it all depends on that first initial pricing.
Sure.
There is a lot of those houses that are listed for a price and they're sold for that price.
Right.
It's just dependent upon, I guess, the strategy that the agent decided to use or the seller wanted to use and how they priced that house initially.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. But you're looking at, if you as a buyer are needing closing costs, you're needing, concessions from the selling side, you're probably not going to get a 10, 15, 20% discount in 2025. Plus them paying all this stuff for you also too. That probably ain't going to fly.
Right.
Like, we honestly just had a person the other day on a $250,000 property. We had this talk in our meeting. They offered $150,000 on a $250,000.
Yeah.
Well, them sellers just laughed them out of them.
Right.
It ain't happening. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what you should expect. Remember, that's what we're talking about today. Buying and selling in 2025. Here's what you need to know. Okay. Yeah. These mega deals, whatever you want to call it, they're not to be had.
No,
they're not to be had.
They're not. And again, a lot of times you think that's people that's listening to people that don't know what's going on.
Correct.
I mean, they've heard.
Correct.
The real estate market may be crashing. Again,
yes.
We've said that's been being said since 2008.
Right.
You know what I mean? Since the last crash.
Yeah.
Everybody's waiting on the next one. You got to be. Good point. Listen to who you get your information from.
That's
I think
right.
you said that a minute ago.
Yes.
Not everybody is going to. Again, hey, we're in the business.
Right.
Do we miss the mark sometimes? Absolutely, but we can tell you real factual stuff that's going on in our market, and that's the information that we use.
Not only can we tell it to you, we can show it to you. Like I said, I literally looked at this morning, and we can show you that information. So wherever you are in the country, get the information.
Yeah,
figure it out, because
ask a realtor.
There may be, again, this is a worldwide podcast. There may be somebody listening today in another area, and you get 30% off. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can only tell you what's going on here, but I can also tell you across the country, it's not crazy. I mean, there may be hyper local places that there's an exception to the rule, but the rule is not 30, 40% off of the asking price house. Right. That's not what it is. So that kind of covers the buyers. Okay. You're buying a house in 2025. We've talked to you about how the market is, where we think rates is going. We've answered the question, should you buy now? What you need to know about negotiations. Now let's jump over to the other side, to the dark side. Okay. Let's go over to the seller side. You're going to sell a house in 2025. Okay. Let's dive into what you need to be prepared for. Okay. What you need to make sure you got right. What you need to make sure, again, is done on your side. And let's start with just a quick conversation of buyers today. Kind of when you look at what are they looking for when we go out, we take them, we show them. What are buyers looking for in homes today as we're in this getting soon to be spring market?
Well, it goes back to, like I said, there's inventory now. So you got to realize that buyers are going to be shopping around. They are going to look at homes, more than likely, just use it for an example. If they're looking at a $300,000 home, they're going to have some options to look at. So when they go there, they want to see, am I getting the best bang for my buck?
Absolutely.
So you want to make sure those little nitpicky repairs, you need to make sure those things are done, because that's what buyers are looking for. They're going to come in. Buyers are not as
they're not as quick to jump.
They're not as quick to jump. They're not overlooking stuff like they have been, because they have options now.
I agree.
And so again, if it's not on the market right now, it could be tomorrow. So make sure that you have your house in the best condition that you can possibly have it in prior to putting it on the market. That's what I would say.
We're coming from a time where a home buyer, again, if you're selling your house, or especially if you've sold your house, you know the answer to this question. We're coming from a point of time where inventory was so low that, again, you put your house on the market, they was 10 people
lined up.
You know what I mean? In 6 hours at the most, that's doesn't come through your house and looked, and you've got three to six made offer, if not four. And they would overlook a lot of those things.
Oh, yeah.
They would look at it and go, look here, if we don't get this one, Lord knows when the next one's coming,
right?
And what's it going to be like? So we're okay with this.
Right.
Now you're talking about you're putting your house on the market, okay? And there may be 4 or 5 more just like yours.
Right. Yeah.
That's out there right now. So buyers have slowed their roll. They're looking at all 5 of those houses. They're making their notes, doing their due diligence. And it's coming down to those things again now. Like, okay, well, this one we're going to have to move into, and we're going to have to paint the whole house.
Right.
This one over here, we're not.
Yeah. Right.
Same price, apples to apples comparison. Well, let's go with the one we ain't got to paint. That's just common sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So buyers are looking more at your homes now. You know, I mean, you need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
I do agree. I think you gave a great point of if it's little stuff, especially y'all. Like, freshen your paint up. You know what I mean? Make those small repairs because that it's coming back to now. That's making the difference.
Right. And
that's making the difference.
Yeah. I mean, we've always said that first impressions are massive.
Absolutely.
That's what people remember. They remember how the house smells. They remember all this stuff. So you have to really put your best foot forward at this point because, again, they are going to have more stuff to look at.
No doubt. That leads us into the big thing, okay, that I think we need to go with sellers and make sure that you're aware of. If you're going to sell your house in 2025, I think this is the number one thing you need to be aware of, and we need to talk about and give some guidance on. But what is the biggest mistake that someone trying to sell their house in 2025 can make when it comes to pricing their house? Roll with that.
I mean, they're the ones that are making the mistakes are literally just trying to be too high.
Right.
It's not there. We're just not there anymore. So you can't price it. It's not an effective strategy. This is where you're going to see the price reductions, but it's not an effective strategy to price it $50,000 too high and expect that you're going to get those negotiations. People are going, again, we just said this, people want to negotiate.
Sure.
But there's a line there. Don't go above the line to where you are trying to make all that money because it just ain't there. It ain't there.
I'm going to go back to something I said about the buyers in this same context about the market changing, but let's go seller specific here. And I think the biggest thing again is what if you're trying to go too high, you're messing up.
Yeah.
Like especially if you got to sell your house, right?
Right. Yeah.
You're trying to retire, do whatever you want to do.
Sure.
But at the same time, if you got to sell your house, this is the way that it's not going to sell. Repairs, painting, that's all important. But this is the way it's going to go or it's not going to go. Okay. But you look at that and it goes back to, again, this is why I think you need to consult with a pro. Okay. Moral of the story is you're buying or selling in 2025, get with somebody who knows what's going on. Okay. If you're going to sell your house in 2025, you need to get with a real estate agent, or if you want to pay for an appraisal, get somebody to not just tell you what they think, though. Okay. Can you please hear me on that? I don't want your opinion.
No.
I want facts.
Yeah.
Because I got to get my house priced right. I want the most amount of money I can get, Mr. Realtor, Miss Realtor. I want the most I can get. We all want the most we can get, okay?
Yeah.
More you get, more I get paid. I want the most we can get. But you said there is a line. Show me where that line is by using data of what other people have already done in the marketplace that have tried to do and done successfully. What I'm wanting to do, show me that data. If you have someone who can't show you that data, call somebody else.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You're buying and selling in 2025. That's what you need to do. Selling especially, get the data in your market of what's going on. Put it on paper, put it on a screen that I can see and explain to me why my home needs to be priced here.
Yep.
That was a soapbox answer, but that's the truth.
We say it all the time, though, numbers don't have feelings.
No.
Right? So get real factual numbers that you can say, this is what my house should sell for. And like you said, if you're talking with somebody and they can't sit down and show you real factual numbers, you better call somebody else.
Call someone else. If you're in the Lakeway area, you call us.
Yep.
We're going to sit down and show you that. We always tell our agents we want people to be able to see the factual information. We're never just going to tell somebody what your house is worth. We're going to show you because, like you said, there's no feelings there for us.
Right.
It's a misconception that realtors want to cut your price. That doesn't add up.
No, but it's also a conception that realtors are the ones that have drove this market up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I see that all the time on Facebook, is that these realtors are driving the prices through the roof. I cannot make your house worth any more money.
Mm-mm.
It is what it is.
I
So
like that.
you're going to find out factual numbers, and that's what it is.
I
It's
like that.
supply and demand is what's made the prices where they're at.
Yes.
Us as realtors, we're not trying to lowball you, and we're going to try to keep you in the ballpark if you
No.
cannot get that for your house.
No.
Mr. Seller, we would love for you to. Like you said, that's how we get paid. So we want to sell it for
Yeah.
as much as possible.
Give it to me for as much as I can do.
So we're not trying to cut you, but we're also trying to keep you realistic that, okay, we're going to list it, but it ain't going to sell for that.
This is good information.
Yeah.
That's good. So again, we've been talking about today for you to give to you. We had a little bit more, but we'll save that for another one. It can be its own show itself. But we've dove into today. If you are buying and selling in 2025, this information we've just laid out, that's what you need to know. Okay. Don't price too high if you're selling. Get it in front of you. Get your house right and ready for market before you go to market. If you're buying, it might be the right time for you to buy. It may not be the right time for you to buy. We've told you about what's happening as far as what you can buy the house for compared to what it's listed for. This is good information for you. If you, again, share this out, get it to your friends. Whether you've watched this on YouTube, you've listened to us on a podcast, hopefully this has been good information that will be beneficial to you.
And we say this, I don't think we've said it this time, but we are in the Lakeway area of East Tennessee.
Morristown
specifically. We can help you anywhere in the state of Tennessee. If you are in Idaho and you need information, give us a call, reach out to us.
Man.
We can help find somebody in your area that you could go and trust and get factual information from. If you don't know who to call, give us a call and we'll help you no matter where you're at.
No doubt about that. So with that being said, that does it for us on another episode of the Elite Realty Group Podcast. Make sure you've liked and subscribed to whatever channel you are listening or watching us on. Until next week's episode, hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Be safe, be blessed. We will see you on the Elite Realty Group Podcast the next time. Over and out.